Hi guys, if you're new here, my name is Soyoung and I'm a senior product designer at Disney. And so today I wanted to talk about how I landed my job at Disney. So in this video, I'll walk you through my portfolio presentation and share my experience with the entire interview process. I'll also provide some tips and strategies that help me stand out from the other designers. So I hope you can find this helpful in your own interview process. So a little bit about me, my name is Soyoung and I'm a product designer based in Los Angeles with 4 to 5 years of valuable experience in the field. And now I will tell you 7 things you should know about me. First, I am originally from Seoul, South Korea, and I've had the opportunity to live in 4 different countries around the world. It's been about 7 years since I moved to LA. And my journey began with a graphic design internship in Florence, Italy. I majored in visual communication design and I applied to a student internship while I was in undergrad. And at there, I met friends from New York and we spent countless evenings with my friends sharing our dreams about our future. My friends actually encouraged me to explore opportunities in US and suggested looking into best US art and design schools after finishing up my undergrad degree. And one of my friends, Makiba, she even shared a link to a top design university, which ultimately became the next chapter of my life. And so I moved to US all by myself and pursued a MFA degree at USC, focusing on product and interaction design. And USC master's program was very interesting. We had this elective courses at USC and I got to meet Professor Jamie Levy, who is the author of UX Strategy. And I discovered the world of interaction design and shift my focus there. During my time at USC, I participated in 2 hackathons. One was Hack SC, sponsored by USC, and another one was hosted by Adobe. And at the Adobe hackathon, our team won the 3rd round, and I was the sole designer on the team of 3 engineers, and it was my very first experience collaborating closely with engineers, a very valuable and eye-opening opportunity to bridge design and engineering. I found inspiration through my active participation, whether it is a competition or submitting my works to magazine or entering awards. And fortunately, I won design awards in 7 different categories. And this was my personal project separate from any organizations or company. Now, let me give you a brief overview of my background. So I started my career at TH Experiential, a design agency where we work with over 200 clients, including Revlon, La Roche-Posay, Capital One, Dyson, and McDonald's. So at that time, I contribute to more than 20 clients' projects, brainstorming concepts and creating graphics that can turn into full-scale digital experience. We also launched a gaming app for the brand name Bayer. And after that, I worked as a brand and marketing designer at Hitachi America and House. So my role involved in promoting the brand's product and services, where I design visual identities and graphic system for the website, social media, magazines, and webinars. I then spent over a year and a half as a product designer at Hitachi Vantara, where I was part of the product design team. It was a really big team where we had over 30 product designers on the team. I played a key role in leading their data management platform called Data Catalog, which helps organizations discover and monitor their data. I also contribute to other projects like their documentation portal and learning portal and the energy dashboard projects. So I work closely with PM to create frameworks and collaborated extensively with the engineering teams to define and implement the visual designs for the consumer-facing environment. Lastly, let me take you through a brief overview of how I approach design. I usually follow a 6-step process. Of course, this can be changed, depends on the project and also the timing, but this is the usual steps that I follow. First, I always start by thoroughly understanding the problem space and diving deep into learning about the customers. This gives me valuable insights into their needs and pain points. Next, I craft design principles to guide the projects and ensure alignment in the team. In here, I do a lot of meetings with the stakeholders. And third, I move on to the ideation phase. And in this phase, I explore a user journey and create user stories, personas, and decision-making frameworks. So in here, I bring a range of possible solutions to ensure we're exploring every angle. I show my ideas to our design team weekly meeting as well. And once I have a clear vision, I start designing, testing, and iterating. So this involves a lot of collaborations and discussions with the team to refine the concept and move toward to a direction that best addresses users' need. And then I go to the refinement. I focus on refining the design based on the usability testing and feedback. I prepare everything for the engineering's handoff, documenting the design decisions along the way. And finally, even after the project is live, I monitor its performance. Just because it's launched doesn't mean the work is like done. There's always a room for improvement, and so I stay engaged to find ways to enhance the product over time. Sometimes I do check the live websites and do a UX reviews to the engineering teams. So that was 7 things to know about me. And next, I'll give you a brief overview of some of my works that I did previously. So for the first case study, I'll focus on a design system projects where I'll walk you through the components I created in Figma. I'll showcase the documentation I built for these components and demonstrate how I use them to create screens. The second case study, I'll share my entire design process and how I approach problem solving. I'll also show how I utilize tools like Miro board throughout the projects to organize and collaborate effectively. So let's get started. So a little bit more about me. I've been working at Hitachi Vantara as a product designer, and during that time I was on the product delivery team. And that means I have been able to contribute to the creations of the design system, as well as participate in a platform level work that are part of Hitachi Vantara ecosystem, like our internal portals and our website. So these projects that I'm going to show you is about Kanban board within Hitachi Vantara data catalog. And this idea initially started as a collaboration between me and my product design manager and PM. I led the design process, and we also had engineers on this project as well. Over time, it evolved into a resource and a tool that other teams could use for their own projects. I even had the opportunity to present this during the product design team all hands meeting, where I walked the team through the work. So this case study gives you a little bit about like behind the scene look at my design process, how I work, how I structure my approach, and how it all came together in a case study for a Kanban board. And I will walk you through the actual Figma file that I worked on at the very end part. Okay, so a little context. If you're familiar with data catalog, we are helping business to detect, predict, and optimize their data. Some of our customers like bank, where they want to organize their customer data. And so there was a huge initiative to see the single view of all performance, and that we called as Kanban view, where user can reduce manual tasks in order to edit or add data. And as that going on, there was a business problems too, because Hitachi Vantara acquired a company called Pentaho during their M&A leading. So we had many different types of data catalog styles and guides, but now we are bringing it into combining them all into new unified design system. Also, there were business problems related to allocate and optimize budgeting into each stages. And here on the right, you can see the screenshots of the previous data catalog, and it's a lot of data information at once. So we knew there was a room for a lot of improvement. Also, I saw that our team were using Kanban components and card system in their own way, so everything was very inconsistent. So the main concept and the focus of this project was to figure out how to unify the Kanban system. and how to provide clear guidance for our team, create a thoughtful experience for the customers who would be using this project. So I started by looking at our customer pain points and needs. User research was very important to us. We wanted to make sure we were solving our customer problems. So on the far left side, we listed the core challenges, outlined the needs that came out from those pain points. I made it clear what I discovered and what the pain point was, and also the needs and opportunity right there. And as an example, let's look at the first one. So customer wanted a single view of all performance to reduce manual tasks. Also, they require low coding as possible because some of them doesn't even have a technical background. They also wanted the time efficiency when using this data catalog. So the next section that we did was fixing what is broken. We wanted to do something like an audit and understand the data hierarchy of each information before we roll out launching the new Kanban board. So one thing that me and my product design manager and PM did was we went through the current data catalog and reviewed what kind of data were in the app currently. And we made a framework that you can see here where we kind of break out and understand the level of information, and we kind of assess them like what kind of information is in the same level, how we group the data, and how we could position this data into a single card. So we went through and we reviewed everything and grouped the same level information into color. For example, we grouped the name and customer type into the same level, and we grouped the actions and collaborations into object-driven actions where user can fix it manually. And we also thought about the structure, like how could we build the hierarchy of the information. For example, card status and data severity should be at the top, and the name should be at the next, and descriptions on the bottom. And if we feel the data is not necessary, we could move it to the bottom of the card. So we thought, what are the quick small changes and wins we could make as we began these projects? Also, there was a business constraints too, that we might run off the budget to change the whole thing. So I thought about the small wins that we can make at first. And one of the things that we noticed, which I sort of mentioned before, was that design wasn't consistent. So different teams were using their different design almost. So you can see here with before and after comparison, where before there were a lot of this different styles being used, a lot of different visual styles for different sections. Some of them are like line components, where some of them are card components. So after we migrated everything into consistent style, so these little wins like are worth a lot and have impact. So we went from this messy home screen to way more consistent screen where all the activity and dashboard had the same visual style, which brought a peace to my design mind, Because looking at the screen on the left made me anxious. There's so much unnecessary items going on. So this was kind of a big victory to us. And I was proud that we were able to fix what is broken. After that, we as a team spoke internally about our needs. We took feedback from our customers and engineering team. We got the business insight as well. And together we decided to propose 4 different components: Kanban cards, modals that pop up, category tag, and side panel the user can see the data details. And we found out that these 4 components cover more than 80% of our use cases that we have as a team for communicating and seeing where data stages are at with our customers. So for design, I kind of wanted to use blue color as some reason because it's a neutral color where there's no wrong message about it. So you can see 4 components here. We've got this card, we have this modal, which are popping up when there's a lot of metadata in it. We have category tags and a side panel. We end up having 3 states of the Kanban cards, which are minified, collapsed, and expanded version, and also various different states of that particular components. For example, you can see here with the status icon cards, hovering mode, without status icon, and without status icon but when hovering. We thought about different card style, like having a drop down input box, and the slider. I'll show later in more detail about how I kind of organize these components in Figma file and how I created these alternatives within each component. And last section before I jumped onto the Figma file is to tell the impact. So one of the things we did as a team was to create a playbook sort of thing in our Confluence page. We had a lot of internal kit going on there, and it was essentially like resources for team to use and learn what each components are. So I did sort of a presentation in product design all hands team meeting. We also made an internal announcement on the Slack to let everyone know that, hey, here's like a new components that we're working on. And yeah, it was awesome. So that was overview of this case study, and now I'm going to go into more detail about the components and how they're structured. So it will be going to be a little bit more technical, more nerdy, and detailed. Here we are in the Figma. This was the working file I used for this project, and now I wanted to our design system. I show it through the team meeting where the product delivery team and the design system team join. It's not live in the design system documentation website yet since it is really new, but I just wanted to show how our design system documentation website looked like. And at the same time, what we're going on in the team was we're rethinking about the potential typography that we can use within our catalog and also in our internal portals. So there were to verify the language support and localization because text length varies based on different users use this platform to assist external customers and promote the product by showcasing the new features. So after getting these insights, I shared my findings during the stakeholders meeting, providing an overview of what I discovered and offering actionable insights to help guide the projects. So my main goal was to enhance the user experience by simplifying the search process and improving overall functionality. And to address this, I developed a new user flows for the redesigned documentation portal and presented during our stakeholders meeting. I used to refer this as a search happy path, which includes 3 main pages users encounter during their search journey. The first page is home page, and in the orange box, you can see the layout of our previous documentation portal, which only had the search box. This design posed several issues. So new users wanted to browse product categories and view relevant documents. Also, some users were curious how to navigate the portal. Additionally, there were business challenges as the homepage struggled to retain users and failed to thrive profitably. So after redesigning the homepage, I grouped the products within each service using color-coded categories to make it easier for users to access product documentation. I also added a take a tour feature, which include how-to video to help new users navigate the site more effectively. Additionally, I introduced join our community sections, allowing experienced users to provide feedback and get answers to their questions more easily. And during this time, I conducted a competitor analysis to understand how other companies were designing their homepages and to identify the industry standards. I specifically examined their pagination methods and how they organize and categorize their products. Next was the product page, where users requested features such as filtering options for the documentation, grouping documentation by type, and version control to enhance usability. So we added a product page where the user can see the overview of the products and add filtering options on the left. The last page is reader page. One of the key challenges with the documentation portal was the length of each document. There were a lot of scrolling. Also, there are some business problems that mobile version is needed, so we considered to have a mobile version as well. So to address this, we implemented several new features, a fixed positions options for downloading the PDF files, version controls, and the bookmark functions for each section's title. Additionally, we introduced a highlighting feature which isn't showing here to further enhance usability. Lastly, we tested mobile and tablet versions of this website. Some of the users view documentation while they're on a plane, or they simply wanted to read them through their iPads. So after design, I was responsible for validating the usability of the redesigned documentation portal. We tried to finish it within 1 week. So during this time, I invited one note taker within my team so she can also observe and take a note while I was leading and giving them a task. During the usability testing, I began by asking testers for their first impressions and their reactions to identify the immediate strengths and weakness, and I gave them a scenario with a specific task. For example, find the documentation for Hitachi Op Center Analyzer when you first got into the welcome page and see if they got it to find it or not. So after conducting the usability testing, I created a usability testing report deck that include a pain point severity list and the design recommendation to present to the stakeholders. So based on the feedback, we update the design to better align with the user's need. The main changes focused on adjusting the positions of the CTA button and refining the use of the icons for improved clarity. So during this time, I set up a time with the engineers to walk through what we have, which part is important to implement. So a few weeks later, the design was implemented and went on live. It was very rewarding for me to see the final product in actions and observe the customer engagement. We also received feedback from stakeholders highlighting key improvements. First was 28 reductions in technical difficulties finding documentation due to adding how-to videos, and 18% increased in cross-navigation to related documentation across the platform, and 10% reductions in the time of users spent searching for the documentations. So that is all I got for you today. I believe a career change often happens due to a trigger, which is something unexpected. Maybe you thought you'll be happily working at your company for 3 to 5 years, but then you get laid off or face visa issues or experience a reorganization in a company. But while these triggers hit, they often open the new door to the new opportunities. You might get a call from a recruiter or stumble upon a new business trend. So keep your curiosity, optimism, persistence, and also your risk-taking spirit and flexibility in check. Sometimes the best outcomes come from embracing the unexpected. So I hope this video inspired you in your job hunting journey, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!